for coming. Oh, well, it was written by my good friend Jonathan Moreno over here. And this is our last performance in the park, so welcome. Congratulations. You're going to enjoy it. I think you'll love it. So, if you need any food or drinks, we have concession stand right behind the bleachers over here. And if you have to use the bathroom, over in the lodge, that building back there, there's a bathroom that you can use. It's very nice and mostly clean. If you have any of those nasty cell phone things, we'd please like you to turn them off so that they don't interrupt us during our performance. Thank you very much and enjoy the show.
Hey there, Fox and Chicken. Fine summer's day to you.
It is a fine day.
What brings you out, Badges?
I'm looking for pine cones.
Well, I'd say you're in the right place.
I'm close. You won't find any good cones down in town. It's much better up here.
Something happens every time this year.
I stop to think how nice we have it here.
If you go down below to the streets of the town and see all the concrete that they poured on the ground, you will find not a sign of the wilderness that we hold dear. It's much better up here.
A little blue jay from our cabaret
Flew down to the city just the other day.
Well, I heard what he saw from my sister-in-law, and the tales that she told left me slack in the jaw. Well, they steal all our eggs and they serve us at lunchtime buffets. I don't want to be a fillet. Well, I call that foul play.
Chicken.
They come to the forest with coolers and tents to get back to nature or some other pretense, to take a few pictures with us in the background and stay for one day. What the heck's a selfie anyway?
You can't imagine how long they spend staring at screens, and I can't for the life of me tell what it means.
So whatever it is must compete with the moon and the stars up above. Humans scare me with the things they love.
You know, Chicken, that's exactly why I think it's so awesome. We have humans joining us here today. I mean, behind us is the vast forest, below is the town. The park is kind of in the middle. It's like a place where humans and animals can get together, enjoy these beautiful surroundings, and get to know each other a little better.
Wow, Fox. That's a really nice way of putting it.
We're glad that you can join us as we all embark on an afternoon adventure here in Redwood Park. We got sky, we got trees, and what more could you want? Come along with us now on a brief woodland jaunt to a grove filled with song where the cares of below disappear.
Sing it, Badger!
It's much better up here. Sing it, Fox.
It's much better up here. Sing it, Chicken.
It's much better up here.
It's much better up here.
This should be almost enough to get us through the winter.
Do you think? We might need a little more. There are a few weeks of summer left. Just a few short weeks that these succulent nuts and berries will still be ripe for the picking.
I agree, Fox. It would be better to have too much than risk running out.
Mm-hmm.
What was that old saying you told me the other day?
Oh, sore muscles are better than an empty belly. My mom said that.
Well, your mother must have been a wise and eloquent woman.
There was this beautiful melody she used to sing to me, and the words I can almost remember. Fox, as you look to the future. And that's all I can seem to remember.
Well, I didn't have the chance to know her, but I admire her words. And this forest is a more beautiful place for having been here.
That's a very kind thing to say, Chicken. I miss her every day.
All this delicious food puts me in a complimentary mood.
Look at this idle persiflage. I should expect little more of a chicken. You, after all, are not even a proper forest animal.
First of all, what the heck is persiflage? And honestly, Possum, I think it's all very relative what is considered proper. I mean, the forest is here for everybody. There's nobody with the authority to say which animals are proper.
It's... Oh, possum! Poppycock, I say. There is, after all, the great forest owl.
That's just some owl.
And you are but a flightless landfowl.
Not the flightless landfowl thing again. I can fly farther than you.
Fox, however, Fox's mother was a great woman. Fox should stop daydreaming. He should wake up and be more wary of the company he keeps.
I'm standing right here, Opossum. You can speak directly to me. And besides, go easy on Chicken. She's pretty smart.
I doubt she or any creature in this wood can match my learning. I am conversant in the full lexicon of distress calls issued by the flicker-tongued lark. I have closely observed over 53 species of rats, rodents, and voles, including a study of over 200 types of muskrat tube fungus.
We're impressed, Possum. We're highly impressed.
It's... Oh, possum! And you should be. I mean, of course you are.
He never told us what persiflage means.
Good day, Opossum. I'm afraid I have bad news. There are reports of a hungry Sasquatch in this part of the forest.
Well, this Sasquatch better stay away from the nuts and berries we've been gathering all day.
Unfortunately, our food supply is in danger. Tonight, we must be on high alert.
It is of little concern to me. I have an entire goose pin full of fuddleberries and shucklenuts. A good day.
Hasn't it been years since any Bigfoots were seen around here?
Shouldn't it be Big Feet?
Well, technically, Big Feet is correct. Although Bigfoot is an acceptable variant and is more commonly used in many parts of the forest. And yes, it has been a generation since we've had a Sasquatch in these parts. The more important question is, how do we be sure to keep our food supply out of this Bigfoot's reach?
If only my mom were here.
Yes. Oh, Fox, your mother was perhaps the finest Sasquatch researcher in the forest. You not only lost your mother in the Great Fire all those years ago, but the forest also lost a great source of knowledge. Her work in diplomacy and Sasquatch studies, and above all, her forming diplomatic relations with Sasquatches has advanced our way of life.
I miss her every day. But as time goes on, my memories of her seem to fade. I wish I could remember her smell, or the exact sound of her voice. Sometimes my mind is so flooded with things other people remember about her.
You were very young then, Fox. No one expects you to have clear memories from that time.
I know. I just wish I had some connection. Just...
Got the food! Fox, no one take it! Don't run after that thing!
This is terrible! I'm already hungry! What are we gonna do?
It's a bust! We must have lost the trust!
Not a bear! I swear it's quite unjust, 'cause he stands over 9 feet tall.
With back hair and front hair and all, and he had quite a smile.
What do we do now?
Double-crossed at such a cost without her, we can't assume we're lost.
The winter gloom will seal our doom, not accosted by some dude in a suit.
What would he want with all the balloons?
He's a squatch with a boyfriend to match. What do we do?
I'm trying to think, but each time that I blink, these distractions keep filling my mind. Like the azure blue of August skies, the gentle breeze, the butterflies, the mysteries of ancient trees, a forest filled with melodies.
We'll have no feast, to say the least. our chances of survival decrease.
When that beast took each last piece, so what does a creature do then?
There's no time to do it again.
And I'm already packages ahead.
What do we do now? Fox, join the team. The answer isn't in a dream. It seems we need a scheme, but you're lost in a daydream again. And chickens is packages ahead, and winter is not even here. What do we do?
I'm trying to think, but each time that I blink, these distractions keep filling my mind. Like the azure blue of August skies, the gentle breeze, the butterflies, the mysteries of ancient trees, a forest filled with melodies.
Fox, you must focus. You must stop daydreaming. There will never be enough time to gather more food before the winter.
I will pull my head out of the clouds and focus.
Your mother, she wrote a book, which may be the very thing we need. I'm not sure if it was destroyed in the fire, but you must meet me at the Forest Library tomorrow. We must find this book.
I will, Al. I will meet you at the Great Forest Library tomorrow.
Yes.
Well, here we are, the Great Forest Library.
You know this is just a branch library, right?
I suppose, but it's still the greatest library in this part of the forest.
Fair enough, Fox. That it is.
And Owl is very wise. I'm sure she will be able to help us find my mom's book.
Owl is cool and definitely, you know, Owl is, yeah, pretty wise, I guess.
Chicken, you sound as if you doubt Owl's wisdom.
No, it ain't that. It's just, you know, everybody already thinks of owls as wise, right? I mean, if you were an owl, you could actually get away with some pretty stupid stuff, and people might go along with it and just explain it away.
Well, I've never known Owl to be anything other than very circumspect.
I didn't mean her so much as owls in general. Do you think of chickens as wise, Fox? What if a chicken were the smartest creature in the whole forest? Do you think people would notice? Or just keep listening to some owl?
Well, I think you're a pretty smart chicken.
Oh, I think so too.
Oh, hey, owl. Thanks.
And chicken, I think you're right. When I was a young owl, I was all but expected to become a librarian, or to at least hoard books. I always wanted to be a lighthouse keeper, though. Anywho, yes, I have read many books, but I don't think of myself as wise. But chickens, yes, I think chickens are among the most intelligent creatures I've ever known.
How many chickens have you known, Owl?
Well, not many, given that the chicken isn't a proper forest animal.
Proper
Forest animal! I expected more from some of your learning. Owl!
Owl, chicken. Owl is just here to help us. And in such a vast collection of books, I'm sure there will be some answers for us. Answers about how to handle Bigfoot, and answers about everything, even the toughest questions. Al, I didn't even know there was so much knowledge stored in the forest.
I've been coming here since I was a chick, and the Forest Library has a colorful history. If it...
Allow me.
She's owl-splaining.
For millions of years, the forest was library-free. There was simply no need, no repository of facts. Readers were free to sit back and relax and not worry about things like these.
But time marches on and creatures evolve. It means they keep planting the seeds of progress. They're planting the seeds of courage and knowledge and wisdom. So times change and in time creatures read.
You know they read about the craziest things, like how many beats of a hummingbird's wings, and every last word of which you ever have heard.
From the hawk soaring high in her flight to the chickens who can't get it right.
I think of it as a quest or adventure to search for a book in some cranny or nook of this repository of worms. Check out and take back to their homes. So let's go and have a stroll. You know they tell me, Fox, he don't even know. His head's in the clouds while his life's down below. His aspirations are higher than redwood trees grow. He's young and he knows that he's smart. But does he know who he is in his heart?
Fox, I'm sorry to say, I believe that that book you desire was destroyed in a fire when this whole place went up like a log. We lost every card in the card catalog. Still, I'm glad that you come to inquire. It's just that
Fox, he don't even know. His head's in the clouds and his life's down below. His aspirations are higher than redwood trees grow. He's young and he knows that he's smart. But does he know who he is in his heart?
He's young and he knows.
And I know that I'm
But
smart.
does he know who he is in
I
his
know
heart?
who I am in my
He's young
heart.
and he knows.
And I know that I'm
But
smart.
does he know who he is?
Do I know who I am in my heart? And I know that I'm smart.
Does he know who he is?
Do I know who I am in my heart?
But alas, many books were destroyed in the Great Fire, and among them were some written by your mother. Our records are incomplete, but they do show that some books were saved because they had been checked out and taken home. I remember, Fox, one book written by your mother, R. Fox Montaigne, was checked out shortly before the fire. Now, if I could only remember who checked it out. It was a kindly fellow.
Maybe it was Swamp Rat.
Swamp Rat is indeed a gentle and generous spirit, but no, it was not he.
Well, could it have been Salamander?
No. Salamander rarely strays from the fiction section. I seem to recall it was someone with an interest in pine cones.
Badger. It must be Badger. He's obsessed with pine cones.
Yes, Chicken, how right you are once again. It was Badger.
Then we must go see Badger.
Yes, yes, indeed. And Professor Badger shall be so happy to see you. Why, since his retirement, he often speaks of his loneliness in the burrow, or the crippling solitude, as he puts it.
We should bring him a pine cone.
That's a righteous idea, Chicken. We can help Badger with the lonely blues and find my mom's book at the same time. Badger has this pine cone already?
Don't be disappointed if he does, Fox. Badger has a lot of pine cones. Also, you should know, Badger's a great guy, but he can be a bit,
Are you guys talking about pine cones?
Badger!
Yes, Badger, at your service. And what is this specimen I see?
Well, it's a pine cone, I guess.
But no, my friend, no, this is a spruce cone. A Sitka spruce, to be precise. And a very fine example, I must say.
we picked the best one.
For you. So, you don't have it?
Now I have exactly 44 of them, but this shall take its place as my third finest specimen.
I'd say, not bad.
Not bad at all.
Come inside, come on. So hurry up and get gas. Cones? Can we get a tea? Oh, don't mind me. Sorry.
Say, Badger,
What?
do you remember a library book?
A library book? Well, I am in the process of writing one now.
Oh?
Yes, a compendium of cones. Yeah. Here you go. Tea. My publisher wants to call it a cone-pendium, but I told her that was stupid.
I agree. I don't condone that title.
Once complete, it will be the most comprehensive and encyclopedic catalog of cones in the forest. I've been working on it for over 11 years. It is my life's work. For example, I've got
Actually,
this other cone-
Badger, see, the thing is the real
What?
reason we're here is,
Just go with it, Fox. I think it's a great concept.
Badger, can you, just tell us more about pine cones? Or, I mean, all kinds of cones.
Yes, indeed, Fox, and a most perceptive request that was. For cones come in all kinds. There we go. For example, this. Oh no. Aha. This is a redwood cone from the cypress family. Notice how the bract is fully fused to the peltate scales?
That's amazing, Badger. Those are pretty much the most peltate scales I've ever seen.
What? Oh, I must say, Fox, these peltations are most pronounced. Not everyone has an eye for cones, you know.
I, try, Badger, but, the real reason I'm here is...
I'm sure you know this, Fox, but observe how this cone from a knotty pine has spirals of scales when you look at it from the top.
Oh, yeah, I see.
They are clockwise and counterclockwise spirals, which spiral in opposite directions.
Oh, yeah, I see that. Great!
But did you know that the number of spirals in each direction are always consecutive Fibonacci numbers?
That's a... Wait.
Oh, of course, Badger. Fibonacci numbers. Where every number in the sequence is the sum of the previous two numbers.
Credit to your species.
I'll take that. Say, Badger, do you remember checking out a library book some years ago that was not about pine cones? I mean, cones?
I have wide-ranging interests, as it turns out.
The book was by my mom, R. Fox Fontaine.
Well, that sounds familiar indeed.
Do you remember what the book was about?
It must have been about... Oh, you said it was not about cones.
No, Badger. My mom was actually more interested in the Great Western Sasquatch.
Yes! Well, maybe. I remember the name R. Fox Fontaine quite well. Let me check my shelf. Okay, here we go. I see nothing here, but I often loan my books to opossums.
Oh, possum!
Yes! Opossum is the most fascinating fascinating individual. He came and visited my burrow just this last year, and we had a rousing exchange about cones. Oh, not unlike this one. Opossum may not be a professor, but he is conversant in many subjects.
Conversant?
Yes, chicken. Conversant. Oh, opossum. Opossum, as it turns out, is awesome. Opossum is awesome, you know, even high in the mountains and snow. Abdominal snowman can't boss him around, for opossum is awesome, you know.
What's happening?
Opossum is awesome, you see. He's so much more awesome than me. In the contest of coolness and the showdown of life, Opossum has the victory.
Opossum
has been to university.
a Renaissance
Possum, Opossum is he. Opossum can handle most any adversity. And Opossum will know what to do, 'cause he's so much more awesome than you! Chicken, you gotta try first, Chicken, come on. Please!
If Opossum should fly to the moon, they'd say, "How did you get there so soon?" By being quite awesome, he'd tell them at once, more awesome than any raccoon.
If we wander from the melody, or we struggle to find middle C, our musical tribute is humble at best, for Opossum is always on key. If Opossum should dance at a rave,
He would dance even better than Dave.
his social discretions are legend, they say. Opossum knows how to behave. If Opossum should bake a souffle,
Stop it! Stop it right now! Stop! 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 This song became ridiculous several verses ago. I mean, if Opossum should dance at a rave, do you know what happens at raves? I don't even want to know what that is. And a souffle! Really, a souffle? I lost my graduating class to a bake-off. And who's Dave?
Hamilton.
Okay, fair enough, Chicken. We are here to find my mom's book, not sing Opossum's praises. But still, I mean, you gotta admit.
No! Hold on! I said no already! How do you even get a accordion? Let's go see this guy if he's so awesome.
Of course! I mean, we will need Opossum's help to find my mom's book. But, I need a moment to compose myself before approaching such an awesome presence. I need a short break. I need to, what's the word?
Interlude?
Yeah, maybe, but the word I was thinking of is
Intermiss?
You are good, Chicken. Let's return after, say, 15 minutes of intermissing. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to go see Opossum.
Lucky for us, Bigfoot missed my picnic basket.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Are you gonna sing neat, or you just gonna keep strumming that thing?
I'm feeling a song come on here. Just give me a sec.
Well, then let's hear it then.
When I look down to the ground, I think all the way down to the heart of the earth. All the bugs and the worms and the towering beauty to which it gives birth. The earth is the surface to which we all cling. But we also have wings and it blows me away every time that you say I never thought it could happen to me. When you knew all along you would follow a song to wherever you think you should be. But you're already right here with me, and you've always been right there for me.
And I look up to the sky, crane my neck to look high to the tops of the trees. An afternoon way up there would be quite an affair in the warm summer breeze. I want you to know, like the trees in the forest we go, but we also have roots and it
Blows me away every time that you say I never thought it could happen to me. When you knew all along you would follow a song to wherever you think you should be. But you're already right here with me, and you've always been right there for me. I heard about the dazzling lights of the town and the buildings 300 feet tall.
Well, we have something much taller than that, and the stars are so bright after all. When I gaze at the glittering sky, I'm amazed that we even exist, and it
Blows me away every time that you say I never thought it could happen to me. When you knew all along you would follow a song to wherever you think you should be. But you're already right here with me, and you'll always be right there for me. Fox, as you look to the future, stay close to the creatures who love you. In our hearts, the memories live on. They will last.
Is that what your mom used to sing to you?
Yeah, I think I remembered a little bit more of it this time. If only I could get the whole thing. By the way, thanks for not telling Badger what you really think of Opossum.
Well, Fox, to be honest, Opossum always did bother me a little. But I can see him a bit differently after talking to Badger.
Oh?
Yeah, well, Opossum is awesome in his way. He just comes on a little strong because he wants to feel important.
Well, he seems important enough to me, but I have worried whether he likes us.
I think Opossum is worried we don't think he's important. We should bring him something to let him know we think he's important.
Oh, like we brought Badger that pine cone or spruce cone or whatever. That's a good idea, Chicken. But what should we bring him? That is the question.
Wait! That is the question.
Yeah, wait! Wait, what?
We'll bring Opossum a question. We'll ask him something to make him feel important.
Ooh, that's a good one, Chicken. But what should we ask him? Oh, I got it! Ask him what persiflage means.
No, not that. Oh, here he comes. Don't worry. Let me handle it.
Opossum, hello, my friend. Nice to see you.
Ah, Fox. Chicken. What brings you to my glade?
Oh, Chicken and I were just talking. And we were talking about how important we think you are.
Oh, yes.
And we have a question for you. Oh. Chicken, would you ask Opossum our question?
Yes. Ahem. And now for the question. The question is... The question is...
You got this.
The question is... How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
Yes?
That question, my friends, is one to which I have devoted my life, my existence, and every last fiber of my being. It is my humble claim that I am the forest's leading authority on the upper body strength of woodchucks.
We may be getting more than we bargained for here.
Firstly, we must disavail ourselves of the conceit that a woodchuck is actually capable of hurling objects, which, as you acknowledge, it is not.
Most fascinating, Opossum.
Yes. Secondly, we must attend to the form which our answer will take. Because no time interval is stated, we can assume that our answer will take the form of a rate, such as logs per minute.
Very astute. I see you have a number of books here, Opossum. You must go to the library quite often.
Yes, Chicken, as a matter of fact, I do. As I was saying, we must also consider the distance which our hypothetical woodchuck is attempting to hurl.
Please,
These
Opossum!
Yes.
This is a most fascinating disquisition. Disquisition? Disquisition. And I want to know more. Oh, I truly
so
do.
firstly we go into...
What Box needs to say is, sometimes we struggle to keep up with such advanced discussion. Maybe you could just supply us with the answer and we could research the details on our own?
Fair enough. 1.21 megatrundles per fortnight. Squared. The age-old mystery resolved.
Amazing. How did you ever figure that out, Opossum?
Kidneys.
Well, okay then. So, anyway, Opossum, you must have spent many hours in the library to come up with such a precise figure, Opossum.
Indeed.
Say, Opossum, speaking of library books, we're looking for one written by my mom. We asked Badger, and he sent us here. He sends his regards, by the way.
He thinks you're awesome.
Oh, yes. Well, as a matter of fact, I do recall such a book. Our Fox Fontaine, though I can't remember the title.
We were hoping it's about Big Feet. My mom was an expert in Bigfoot diplomacy, and we need to renegotiate.
Ah, yes, Big Feet, or Bigfoots, as I say. Their behavior is complex and requires sensitivity and expertise to deal with. Yes, the book. The book may have been about Bigfoots. But unfortunately, it is lost!
Lost?
Yes, I dropped it in this well. This dry well. It was an accident. I was only looking for someplace comfy to read. I was afraid to tell Badger. Is he angry?
Yeah, he probably had to pay for that.
He didn't seem mad, but Opossum, we have to get that book.
I can see it down there.
I would have retrieved it, but I was afraid I wouldn't be able to get out.
Oh, I can see it. It's just too far for me to jump. Look, here's a piece of rope. Maybe if we use this
And work together, then I can remain safely up here and we can get that book back.
All right, chicken. Should we flip a coin?
No, Fox. I've never needed coins for anything before, and I don't see a reason to start now.
Well, maybe we should draw straws.
Straws up for turkeys!
What?
Turkey in the straw. Anyway, let's just say I got this one. You can get me back later.
Well, what if you get stuck down there?
That's what the rope is for.
Okay. Opossum, when I say so, you throw the rope down to chicken.
All right. Here goes.
Are you okay?
Yeah! That was the easy part. Hey, I see the book. I got it.
What's the title?
I can't tell. It's too dark.
Okay, Opossum. Throw the rope down to chicken.
Here comes the rope! I threw the rope down to chicken.
Yeah. But she can't climb up the rope if it's at the bottom of the well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
But... Oh.
Yeah.
But you weren't clear. You only said to throw the rope down.
Hey, guys. I was worried this would happen. Fortunately, there may be another way out of here.
You saw this coming? Wait, does that mean you think you
I
can...
think if I flap hard enough, I can fly to the top.
Unfortunately, the maximum height attained by a chicken in flight is merely 11 feet, whereas the depth of this well is...
Opossum. Now is not the time for pedantry. We have to help chicken get out of this well.
The thing is, I don't know if I can carry the book.
Forget about the book. We just want you back up here with us.
All right, here goes. Ha! 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 Ha!
Try again, chicken. Flap those crazy wings.
Yes, go!
There goes. Ha! 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 Oh gosh! Ha! 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 Ha!
One more try, chicken. You can do this. I believe in you.
I seem to have maxed out. I don't know if I could get much higher. How high did Opossum say chickens could fly?
Well, actually, probably... I don't know, chicken. I only said I don't know. But there are legends of chickens doing amazing things.
Chicken!
Woo! What were you saying, Opossum?
I said chickens do amazing things.
Chicken, you made it. You flew.
I'm sorry, chicken. I threw the entire rope down there.
It's okay, Opossum. Fox did say throw the rope down, and you're a very literal opossum.
It's true. I am. Alas, the book remains down.
I was much more worried about my friend, honestly.
Well, you weren't paying attention.
Where were you keeping that?
Oh, you see, I kind of stuck
You know
it.
what? Never mind. You're a miracle. You flew.
I practice a lot when no one's around. So, what's the title?
The title is Muskrats at Dusk. 33 Hot Ideas for Rekindling Muskrat Romance by R. Fox Fontaine.
Your mother was a woman of wide-ranging interests, and muskrat love is a very deep, important subject. It is a barometer, if you will, of love throughout the forest.
But this isn't what any of us had hoped for.
Well, it's, lavishly illustrated. Oh, look at that! Idea number 25. Pine cones.
That must have been why Badger had it.
Wait, Fox. There's a dedication.
I dedicate this book to my son and to all the love and beauty that we perceive in this forest. This majestic place, in all of its heartbreaking mystery, beckons to the most curious and innocent parts of us all. And chicken, there's more. It's the words I couldn't remember.
Fox, as you look to the future, stay close to the creatures who love you. In our hearts, the memories live on. They will last, but our futures are not in the past.
Your mother was a very eloquent fox. Fox?
Thanks, chicken. I wish I took after her in that way. You seem to have her way with words. You always know what to say. An old cliche, familiar words, I heard them just the other day. But suddenly the meaning falls into a different feeling. And for once I think that I would know what to say. I'd know what to say. That if you were here, although it's been years, I'd know what to say. But you're so far away right now.
The same old song has a different meaning. The same old simple chords somehow send my heart careening.
I tried to work it out for myself. I spent some time alone, and now I know what to say. I know what to say. That if you were here, although it's been years, I'd know what to say. But you're so far away right now.
Some people say you're nice, but other people say that kindness shouldn't matter.
But if your heart were made of ice, then who would really care if it should shatter? My thoughts scatter, and I can't think above the chatter of the people who know what to say. So many people who know what to say. Dreams will pass, they say, like rivers running to the sea. But every dream of you is seared into my memories. The sense of having you by my side. And for once I think that I would just hold your hand. And so I'm thinking of that, wherever you're at right now. That was very eloquent, Fox. But that won't help us with our Bigfoot problem, or what to do about the fact that we don't have enough food to last us through the winter.
I will share my fuddleberries and chuckle nuts. It may be just enough to last all of us through winter.
That's very generous, Opossum. And it may just have to do. We seem to have reached a dead end.
Fox, you needn't register untoward dismay. Take heart. Have a fuddleberry.
Was that even a berry?
You never had a fuddleberry before?
I've had fuddleberry pie before.
They add a lot of sugar to that. Like a lot. As for gravel nuts, it's like sitting down with a bowl of cement.
You have to let them soak first.
Oh no, I am not eating that all winter.
Yeah, let's go. We gotta meet up with Owl and Badger. I hope they have some ideas, because without a plan, for months it's gonna be cement and whatever that was you just ate.
Was that even food?
That's fine. Not everyone ascends to gastronomic connoisseurship.
What is he talking about?
I think he's letting us know that he's awesome.
They're gone. And they say I have an avoidant personality? I heard them singing about knowing what to say, and I so badly wanted to join them. Well, I think I know what I want to say. And I think they'd understand, too. They're different from the other people in town with their phones and their drones and their 24-hour surveillance technologies. Avoiding detection has never been so tough. I hate to draw attention to myself, but sometimes I just have to sing. I just assume they think that I'm not real, a fairy tale or mythical ideal. It's hard to get across the way I feel. A baby Sasquatch appetite against the fact it isn't right to steal. For now, I just assume they think that I'm not real. So I'll be just like a tree, and I'll leave this company. Pretend that I'm not there, arch my back up like a bear. Till they don't recognize the shape of this North American name. Sasquologists have tracked me by my prints, like detectives on a hunt for evidence. Each time they try to add me to their list, but I must avoid the camera lens. I wave goodbye and vanish in the mist. I just assume they think I don't exist.
I found one of my mom's books, but it was about muskrats.
Muskrats. So cool.
That's a great book. Yeah, I like muskrats too.
Whoa! What's after my shackleford? I didn't cry for this!
I would like to begin by apologizing to everyone here.
What?
It's a she, and she talks.
She's here to steal my cones. She's after everything we own.
But no, I would never steal your cones.
Oh.
Allow me to explain. You see, this summer, my Bigfoot partner and I started a family. And stealing your food was the last resort. Something I would have never done if it weren't for my children. Well, as you might guess, 3 growing big feet can eat a lot of food.
So it is Big Feet.
We were just trying to communicate with you. We thought you were so strange and different that we needed to study and read books about you to have any hope of getting through. But as it turns out, all along, all we needed to do was talk to you.
What brought you back?
Well, I heard you singing, and I knew in my heart you would understand. You see, we're a reclusive and misunderstood species. Many don't even realize that we speak, but we not only speak, we sing, and we cultivate fairness and ethical behavior. And that is why I've returned. I can only imagine the stress that I've caused your community, and I am deeply sorry. Here's twice as much food as I borrowed to feed my family.
We're saved!
I can see you are kind and understanding, and I should not have feared you.
You needn't ever fear us, and we'll never forget what you have done for us.
I can't believe it. This forest is full of surprises.
I know, chicken, and I am learning to embrace the unexpected. In the words of someone very wise, this majestic place, in all of its heartbreaking mystery, beckons to the most curious and innocent parts of us all. When turning back to life the way it was before,
Hey, Fox, some things only make sense when you get older.
or looking forward to the hope of something more.
Hey, Fox, the movement that you need is on your shoulder.
They ask, does a tree really make a sound in the forest when it's fallen down? And there's not a living soul around to hear it shatter. But I know that a heart still has a voice, even if it doesn't have a choice. So remember that when you feel like you don't matter. Some of us will spend our lives just waiting for a sign.
Hey, Fox, some things only make sense when you get older.
But we give to life whatever meaning that we find.
Hey, Fox, the movement that you need is on your shoulder.
Beneath the redwood trees and stars, we wonder who we are. Want so bad to know just how it feels, but I'm afraid to get too real of what might be revealed. Do I really want to know? Well, I was trying to make my mark, but I'm stumbling through the dark, just looking for some kind of spark to give me meaning. And yet, no matter how hard I've tried, I can never quite decide. An outsider, no matter the side to which I'm leaning. They ask,
Does a tree really make a sound in the forest when it's fallen down? And there's not a living soul around to hear it shatter. But I know that a heart still has a voice, even if it doesn't have a choice. So remember that when you feel like you don't matter.
You know, Fox, it's interesting. Well, it would seem that everyone here has changed or turned out to be something different from what they first seemed.
I see what you mean. You know, chicken can actually fly. Oh, and a possum. He isn't the stuffy jerk we thought he was. He just needed a little love.
Thanks, Fox. I admit, at first I thought Chicken had a bit of a chip on her shoulder. But now I realize what I've been missing. She is a very strong, a noble creature. A flighted land fowl. And a very proper forest animal.
You are too kind, Opossum. Might I also add, Bigfoot turned out to be a mother.
And a very thoughtful and well-spoken one at that.
What about me?
Badger. Oh, Badger. Well, I suppose that Badger remains as delightful and reliable as he's always been.
You know, I don't think I could ever want Badger to be anything other than the perfect guy he already is.
You're like a perfectly symmetrical pine cone, Badger. With peltate scales.
about you, Owl? Have you changed?
Why, yes, Fox, I have. It turns out I'm even less wise than I thought. For all my reading and knowledge, I could have never seen that things would turn out so beautiful.
Owl, still the wisest bird I know.
What do we see? What do we notice? What is the forest trying to say? Not everything turns out like it looks. It's true in the world as it is in the books. And the proof is the fact that we're standing together today. Don't be shy now.
When I started the day, I believed what they said when they told me that I couldn't fly. And I'm sorry to say I believed it so much that I never even tried. But Fox needed help, I answered the call. Come to find out I can fly after all. And even Opossum agreed and ate humble pie.
Would you like to take a bite?
When I emerged from the woods today, I'd never been so scared. And you might think someone who's 7'9" wouldn't have that much fear. But after all the trouble I've caused, you still understood. I feel like a burden is lifted, and believe me, that feeling is good.
Very nice, Big One.
Owl, Opossum, Badger, Bigfoot, you know I love you too. And Chicken, I can't even start to think what my life would be without you. We may not have the answers, we know what it's about. But together I bet we can always figure it out.
What do we see? What do we notice? What is the forest trying to show us? Forms of the day, bathed in the light, what we barely make out in the darkness of night. What is the forest trying to say? Not everything turns out how it looks. It's true what they say about the covers of books.
You mean that you can't judge what's inside by what's on the outside?
Your mom would be so proud, Fox.
The proof is the fact that we're standing together today.
Well, Chicken, what's next?
I'm excited to try more of this whole flying thing.
Oh, I bet. I would be too.
I mean, I flew, but it was underground.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
I want to fly above ground.
Right. I can see it. You soaring through the air.
Through the sky.
Exactly. It's just, well, I mean,
What is it, Fox?
now that you have this newfound freedom, you're going to stick around, right?
Fox, I can't imagine not having you as a friend. Even if I flew off for a while, you know it would be bad.
I can't imagine a better friend than you, Chicken. I love you.
I love you too, Fox. If there's anything more beautiful than being able to fly, it's our friendship.
I know what I see. It's no mystery. It all happened to me.
It all happened to me.
picking her up from ballet? 5:30?